The difference between successful people and failures can only be reduced to one thing. Both successful people and failures, we all fail. But successful people not only continue after failure, but have the wisdom and tenacity to reinvent themselves, because repeating the same thing over and over again and expecting a different outcome is not just failure, but as Albert Einstein says, is insanity. So the art of refining and starting over is actually the art of success. In this video, I can show you the things to do to start over. But if you've never failed and you think you will never fail, then this video is not for you. But if you want to reinvent yourself, let's take that reinvention journey together right now. It's my East China. I'm an expert global business solutions expert and your real estate success strategist, known as the mayor of How to Business channel, where I discuss only business and you can do business directly with me, called My Ace TV, and you can check it out right here. This channel is my personal contribution channel, where I'll be giving you exceptional values on business, personal finance, personal development, and life success. And I'll be doing that with a lot of fun, because my one word is fun. And I always seek, teach, inspire, create, collaborate. You can just call me the contributor. Join the exceptional 5% that will watch this video to the end, because you're very special people and you're rare. Welcome on board. Let's learn and grow rich together. Yes, you're welcome to today's presentation, because we take you on the live recap of our live stream topic, where every Sunday by 6 p.m. GMT +1, we hold a live stream where I take you on its subject for 30 minutes. And after that, you get to ask me any question in the world, and I'll take 10 of such questions, and I will ask you my own question. And the first smartest and fastest guys to answer the first 10 of you will get 30,000 naira, because we are 30,000 subscribers on this channel. By the time we get to 40,000 subscribers, we'll be giving away 40,000 naira to 10 people. I'll be doing that every Sunday until we get to 100,000 subscribers, and we can decide together with you whether to increase the number of winners or to increase the amount per winning, because we are building the most educative and the most generous YouTube channel in Africa. After every live stream, we do a recap of the live stream, because during the live stream, some people are so interested in asking questions, commenting in the comment box, that there might be distractions from learning. So we'll do a recap of the topic in a cool, calm, and calculated environment, where we are not in a rush, for those of you that want to dig deep. So if you want to dig deep, let's get to the last topic that said the art of starting over, why it's never too late to reinvent yourself. And the topic was chosen by Grace OC. So because another thing I didn't tell you is that during the Sunday live, after the discussion for the day, you can also choose the next topic that we can talk about. So instead of saying nobody talks about it or nobody teaches it, come on Sundays by 6 p.m. and you can ask it. So let's get over to starting over. Starting over simply means going on after a failure. And one of the best definitions of starting over that shows that starting over is success is from one of the most successful industrialists of the 20th century, Henry Ford. And Henry Ford said, failure is an opportunity for you to start over more intelligently. So it is only those that want to start over more intelligently that should be watching this video. If starting over foolishly and without learning anything and repeating yourself, repeating the same mistakes is fun for you, then you don't need to go on watching this video. And success is just that enthusiasm it takes for you to go on from failure to failure without loss of enthusiasm. And that's what Winston Churchill defined success as. So many miss their destiny not for lack of ability, not for lack of desire, not for lack of effort, but for lack of starting over. Because you take the destiny journey and the first obstacle or the first downfall, you stop trying. But all of us were once toddlers, and toddlers have enough to teach us about how to walk to our destination, because every toddler did not start up walking. They started up not even crawling, but learning how to sit. For them to learn how to sit took a lot of repetition and trying. From sitting, they learned how to crawl. To learn how to crawl, took a lot of repetition and trying. From learning how to crawl, they had to learn how to stand. And no toddler in the world is smart enough and wise enough to just go from crawling to standing once. They try to stand, they fall. They try to stand, they fall. But for each fall, they learn something new and determined to stand again stronger. Finally, they can stand. They try to take the first step, and they fall down. And they don't get discouraged, but they learn from that fall and stand up again and keep trying until. The key word there is until, because different people have different rates of success. Some people will try to succeed and they will fail 3 times before they succeed. Some it's 300 times, some is 5,000 times, some is 10,000 times, like Thomas Edison. So to start over, you must understand that life is a journey, and you don't start the journey with a zoom movement. You have to start one step at a time, and the fall and the several falls are all part of the journey. So to live your best life, the journey becomes the destination. There's no destination in life called life. It is the journey of life that is the destination of life. So the destiny of life is not where you end up in life. The destiny of life is how you travel through life. And there are different bloomers, those that travel and make it early, those that travel and make it in their mid journey, those that travel and make it late in the journey. So whatever part of the journey you find success, life will still compensate you with enough richness for you to enjoy your life. It is not all that succeed early that enjoy early. Sometimes early success might itself become a liability to you. So you have early bloomers like Mark Zuckerberg and Grant Cardone. Mark Zuckerberg became a millionaire at the age of 22. For Grant Cardone, it was at the age of 30. And then we'll have mid-bloomers like our very popular Dangote, the most richest man in Africa, that became a millionaire at the age of 50, and Henry Ford, that became a millionaire at the age of 39. But my favorite of all are the late bloomers, those that taste success at a very late part of the journey of life and late age, because they have refined their life so much that when they succeed, just like wine that's sweeter with every passing day, they are my greatest inspiration. And one of them is the Kentucky Fried Chicken KFC popular Colonel Sanders, that became a millionaire at the age of 70, and the happiest man alive before me. I am the happiest man alive, but before me, Stan Lee of the Marvel was a very marvelous and great inspiration, and he became a millionaire in his late 60s. So this stage is compensated, so you don't have to put yourself under pressure. There's no perfect age, only perfect experience. So don't pressure yourself that you must succeed before you are 20, you must succeed before you're 90, because guess what? If you succeed too well, too fast, too early, you might lose your youth, because there are some things Mark Zuckerberg cannot experience today because he or did not experience in his teen ages or 20s, because he was already a millionaire. So the ultimate experience for everybody, whether an early bloomer, mid bloomer, or a late bloomer, is fulfillment. Because Abraham Lincoln, one of the greatest presidents that ever ruled America, and has a very inspiring story of going from failure to failure, from counselor to the next election. He kept on failing elections, but he kept on learning and going higher until he became the president. He said, in the end, it's not the years in your life that count. It is the life in your years. Making money is one index we have taken as the number one index for success. But sometimes it's not the money that counts, but the amount of fulfilling experiences. Is in moments of fulfillment that we are truly living. So fulfillment lies far beyond average. So whatever you do in this life, you can never experience fulfillment in average or below average. For you to taste fulfillment, it goes way beyond average. And the only thing greater than achievement in this life is fulfillment. One of my greatest definition of fulfillment is the bliss and relief of that you just feel a taste of heaven on earth. So the more of fulfillment you have, the more of life you live. And the greatest goal of life and the greatest fulfillment in life is dying empty. When you have so much you need to do, you need to do in you, so much talent you need to express, so much you need to give, and you do all that so much that you've done everything you set out to do, that you're so happy with the emptiness, that you are like Simeon in the Bible. In Luke 2:52 to 53, he was told that he was not going to die until he has seen Jesus Christ. And he saw him, and he was so overjoyed that he scared death. Most people are scared of death. But when you look death in the eyes and say, I am so happy, I want to die, death becomes scared of you, because death's sting is in your dying when you don't want to die, or dying when you are dying out of frustration, or what we call depression and suicide. Death revels in that kind of death. But when you are so joyful and happy and so fulfilled that you've done everything, death becomes scared of you. And that's what Simeon did to death. But so many of us don't get that opportunity to die empty because we are stopped by failure, and we don't have the intelligence or grit to start over multiple times and as many times as it takes. The major question you need to ask before starting over is, how long does it take any toddler until he walks? And how many times should a toddler try walking before he gives up on walking? Any parent you ask this will tell you, what do you mean? My toddler would keep trying to walk until he walks. It takes him 10,000 falls. He'll keep trying until he walks. So you're going to keep trying and starting over until you fulfill your purpose. Those that fail to start over have created the richest place on earth, which is where all the treasures, all the unwritten books, all the talents, all the ideas, all the intelligence, all the love that we have never expressed, all the wonderful things that we came into this world that we never gave to the world are all buried in the cemetery. So don't allow all your treasures and all God has given to you to end in the cemetery, because there's a popular saying that says, what you came into the world with and your talents and ability are God's gift to you. How you express and multiply those abilities and make them profitable and your fulfillment is your gift to God. So my personal preference of all the early bloomers, mid bloomers, and late bloomers is late. I love late mega success because I love late success. Why? There are some reasons I personally prefer the late bloomers, because along the journey, they would have garnered more lessons. Number two, along the journey, they would have fully experienced their youth and experimented enough to find out the truth. Number three, they are more grateful because they've gone through a lot and have killed their spirit of entitlement along the way. Number four, They are calmer and more tempered because they've seen a lot of things that will agitate a younger person but will not agitate them because they've seen it all. Number 5, they've had to endure more insult and have more insults to revenge. Remember, Frank Sinatra said the best form of revenge is massive success. So they have more reasons to be successful because they have more insults along the way. Number 6, they have more indebtedness to repay and reward. Late bloomers have been given a lot of favors, done a lot of favors, humbled by life so much that they have a lot of people they are indebted to and a lot of people they will need to reward. And that makes the list longer. For those that succeed early, probably nobody has ever helped Mark Zuckerberg at the age of 19 when he became a millionaire. And aside his friends and roommates that invested in Facebook when it was starting, he might just have 5 people to be indebted to and need to reward. But those of us that have gone through hell and are making it in our late mid-40s, we've had a lot of people help us along the way, hold our hands along the way, shoulders for us to lean on along the way, that will have so much more people that we are indebted to and need to reward. And that makes our late blooming success richer and makes us more fulfilled when we reward those people. And the 7th reason I like late bloomers is there's less time to waste wealth. When you make wealth early, you tend not to appreciate wealth and you can waste wealth because you didn't really go through the long journey of acquiring that wealth. And that's what they say, easy come, easy go. So early come, early go. So some people, because they made wealth early, might not fully understand the full value and weight of wealth and might waste it. So, but it's never too late to start over. For those of you that think it's too late, it's actually the later, the better, because late bloomers make the best success. And that's why you've not succeeded and you're in your 40s, 50s, 60s, or 70s. This is the best opportunity for you, because Colonel Sanders was 65 when he retired and discovered that his retirement pension was not gonna help or save him. And he started the recipe for Kentucky Fried Chicken by picking up his old mother's best recipe and kept on pitching for KFC until he has pitched 1,008 pitches before he succeeded. And by the age of 70, he had made his first million. But by the age of 80, just between 70 and 80, he was a billionaire. So that's how rich, and he was able to affect a lot of lives for all these reasons. So what holds most people from starting over is the thing disillusion in this part of the video, and that one thing that holds most people back is mistakes. But mistakes are not terrible. Mistakes are not tragedies. Mistakes are actually assets, because a mistake is made up of 2 words, a miss and a take. So what happens? You miss the target, but you take the lesson. For instance, a toddler is trying to stand. The target is for him to stand. He stands and falls. He has missed the target, but he took the lesson that maybe he didn't position his legs well. The target is for you to make profit in business. You start a business and you miss the profit, and even the company probably goes bankrupt and you are not able to make the profit, but you picked up the valuable lessons from that failure. So a mistake has to do with missing the target and getting the lesson. So instead of mourning over mistakes, not only do you need to move over mistakes, but you need to celebrate mistakes, because they come with more lessons than any other source of knowledge would have taught you. So mistakes are great assets because you miss it and you take the golden lessons. When you miss the target and also miss the lessons, then mistakes can now become tragedy, because the real mistake is when you repeat a mistake without learning any lesson from the mistakes, because mistakes are how you learn in life. Best archers in the world didn't get a bow and arrow and started shooting like expert shooters. Best archers in the world probably First time they held a bow and arrow, they could not even hold it straight. And then they kept on missing the target and trying again until they perfected and became bull's-eyes accurate archers. So in life, we learn through mistakes because you hit your target by missing them and trying again until you hit them. So the assets and liability. Assets. Mistakes are a successful man's best asset. Show me a very successful man and I'll show you a man that has previously experimented a lot, made a lot of mistakes and learned from them. But successful people make more mistakes than failures. The difference is that successful people hardly repeat mistakes. So making more mistakes is not only failing faster, but succeeding faster, because the more mistakes you learn, the more lessons you learn. Successful people make more mistakes than failures, but they hardly ever repeat mistakes and they grow from their mistake. And if you're corrected for the same mistake twice, you lack awareness of the lessons in that mistake. But if you are corrected for the same mistake more than twice, you lack willingness to pick the lessons from that mistake, and you probably might be what they call a true failure. But the most important thing is starting over can be fun. So let's make it fun, because most adults miss the fun of failure because they think it's not normal. Failure is normal, so they resent it and don't try much nor learn much. But if you want to really see how much fun it is failing, watch children or toddlers when they are trying to walk. They stand up, they fall. If you don't cringe as an adult and you are not there, they will even laugh at themselves and stand up and try again. So when you see a child trying, you see how much fun they have trying, making mistakes, failing, trying again, making mistakes, failing. So instead of resenting the process, have fun with the lessons you pick from the process. But when life's tragedies, adversities, and problems hit us, we're only left with two choices. Either we are growing from the problem or we are groaning from the problem. If you decide to grow from this problem, is your choice. If you decide to groan from the problem, is your choice. It is the same adversity, the same stimulus of tragedy, and the same thing, because Jim Rohn says the same thing happens to all of us, all the same tragedies, the same wind. It is how you set your sail that determines your destination. So the same problems, the same challenges. There are no new problems or unique problems in the world. Whatever you're facing today, some others have faced it and used it to succeed. So one of the things you do for you to start over is that you need to learn a lot of lessons about life. And the more lessons about life you need to learn is life loves to reward capacity. But for you to create that capacity, you need to overcome adversity. So the more adversities you overcome or endure, the more capacity you procure. So when adversities come, don't fight them, see them as procurement of capacity, because your capacity is actually what you use to fetch from the joys and fulfillment of life. Life is like a river flowing. What you come to the river with determines what you fetch, and that is your capacity. If you come with a tiny capacity of a teaspoon, you can only fetch 3 drops of water in that teaspoon. That's the amount of joy and fulfillment you have. If you come with a cup, that's the amount of fulfillment you get. If you come with a bucket, I think that's a better decision to come. But people like us come with tankers that will fetch enough water. And guess what? The river of life never runs dry no matter how much water you fetch. So as my mentor Jim Rohn says, even if you don't want to fetch enough water, why not just come with a bucket instead of coming with a teaspoon, so that the kids will not get to laugh at you and say, imagine all the water in this river and this adult is coming with a teaspoon to fetch. Another lesson of life you need to understand is life only rewards the deserving, not the needing. So harvests don't go where they are needed. Harvests go where you sowed and they are deserved by sowing and reaping. And one of the greatest law, or the one law of life, is the law of sowing and reaping. And difficulty or adversity is not a cause to sowing and reaping. Difficulty or adversity is the blessing that separates the deserving from the undeserving. There are no automatic farms anywhere in the world. There are no automatic green grasses anywhere in the world. The grass is greener where it is watered. The land is fertile where it is nourished. It is weeded. It is cultivated, and it is taken care of. So a farmer does better by knowing how to take care of his soil better than other farmers. Another lesson you need to learn in life for you to have the capacity to overcome adversity and start over after a failure is that life will contract and expand to the level of your capacity. If you have the capacity of a teaspoon, life is the water that the teaspoon can hold. If you have the capacity of a mug, that's the amount you can hold. But one of the best people that put this in perspective for me and helped me to have more courage and more capacity is Anais Nin. She said life shrinks or expands in proportion of one's courage. So if you want a big life, you need big courage. Small life, small courage. Big life, big capacity. Small life, small capacity. And one of the things that helps you create capacity is belief, because believe you can grow and you will grow. Believe you cannot grow and you will not grow, because Confucius says, he that thinks he can and he that thinks he cannot are both usually right. So belief is the major index of life. Your life will expand or contract according to the measure of your belief. So for you to have a richer life, you need to have a richer belief. For you to have a stronger life, you need to have a stronger belief. For you to have a bigger life, you need to have a bigger belief. And each time you take responsibility, you expand. Each time you complain or make excuses, you contract. So one of the two things that will expand and contract life is responsibility will expand your life. The more responsibility you take, the bigger your life becomes. And complaining will contract your life, and excuses, the more complaints and excuses you give, the more your life contracts. And one of the definitions you can give to starting over, which is all we've been discussing here, is responsibility, because starting over is your responsibility, taking responsibility for your growth and your responsibility to grow. And life is all about growth. When something is not growing, it's dying. And that's why you have to understand that the only essence of living is growing. And one of the best places you can understand the concept of growth is the seed and the soil, because the seed is sown into the soil and suddenly finds itself in utter darkness. Not only is it in darkness, it finds itself in the pressure of the soil. But it is this pressure and darkness, just like adversities and trials, that will cause the seed to not only germinate, but it will die before it germinates. Because for you to germinate into a better you, this version of you needs to die like the skin of a snake that is being shed. When you shed that skin, shed this old you, you will germinate into the new you that is more intelligent, more wise, richer, and with better capacity. But when the seed germinates, it doesn't just germinate and jump out. It needs to gradually go through the resistance and opposition of the soil and break through the rocks and the sand until it comes out and begin to grow. And science has shown that if you place a rock on top of the seed, the germinating shoot of the seed will keep finding a way until it goes over and around the rock and germinates. That's how life is. No matter the resistance, the opposition to who you are meant to be, you keep germinating and growing. And when you think the whole world is dark with no hope, everything is void, that's when you are in the process of not dying, but germinating for you to yield something richer, something greener, and something powerful called you. So with all this, I don't personally go through challenges. I grow through challenges and adversity, and nothing excites me like growth. And growing is a responsibility that has been given to human beings with a tinge of the dignity of choice. And that's what Jim Rohn says, that other life beings will strive to grow as much as they are meant to grow. But only human beings have been given the dignity of choice to grow as you want to grow. So you're not going to grow as you are meant to grow. You're going to grow as you choose to grow. If you want to grow big, you will grow big. If you want to grow strong, you will grow strong, despite how many times you fail, despite how many start-overs it's going to take. But I'll urge you to dream big. And the size of your dream is determined by the size of adversities or the number of adversities you are willing to go through for your dream. And from my experience and the experience of all the successful people I've studied, if your dream is not big enough for it to be worth 1,000 of your failures before you get to your dream, then your dream is truly not big enough. So the one dream you can die for is the one dream that you can fail for 1,000 times. And that do or die attitude is what it takes to succeed. But if you are failing multiple times and having to start over, it might be very heavy and discouraging, very hard, and sometimes tempting to be depressing. But always remember the greatest failure in history. That's also the greatest inventor of the 20th century, Thomas Edison. How did he become the most successful man and the greatest failure of all time? Because he has had to endure the greatest recorded number of failures in history. When he wanted to invent the light bulb, he had so much belief because his mother had infused him with so much belief being homeschooled that he was a genius and that anything he thinks about, it's possible for him to achieve. He thought about the light bulb and he tried 10,000 times and failed 9,999,000 times. And when he finally succeeded and they asked him, how does it feel enduring 10,000 failures? And he said, I did not fail. I only found 10,000 ways of not doing or creating the light bulb. What a failure. That's the kind of failure I want to be. And that's what made General Electric, when he, Thomas Edison, and JP Morgan came together to create the biggest electrical company that has been the biggest for 100 years and still going strong. So for you to start over, don't just always focus on yourself, because sometimes you focus on yourself and you think, I must be cursed for me to be going through this. Nobody has gone through this. History gives us this inspiration. You read about the men that built America. You can even watch it on YouTube and you see that there's this inspiration from the men that failed and succeeded. And one of my greatest inspiration is Thomas Edison. But even if you don't want to do it for yourself, because science has shown that for you, for other people, you have the ability to endure more for other people than for yourself. So finally, why not have the right for you to inspire others with how you turned your multiple failure into massive success? So the more you fail, the more you can inspire others when you eventually succeed. For instance, my story inspires me because I was an academic genius and I graduated as one of the best medical lab scientists at the University of Nigeria. And when I read this book, The Rich Dad Poor Dad, I got the epiphany for entrepreneurship, but I didn't know that I needed more skills and more knowledge and wisdom to start entrepreneurship. I started it with my eyes wide shut. And I jumped into entrepreneurship in 2007 after I had graduated in 2003 and done my internship as a medical lab scientist. I started a side business as a lab scientist working, but because I was very naive, I failed. And I resigned in 2007 to go and start that business from the scratch, selling diesels in jerry can and learning the ropes of business. It 2010, I hit the first little success. I got a filling station in a state and became big, but because I hadn't learned my lessons, I lost it all again. And this time I had lost 50 million naira. I was owing 80 million naira. Somebody I was owing 1.8 million naira arrested me, and I spent 2 months in the state CID Owerri police cell and 8 months in Owerri prison, one of the most congested prisons in Nigeria. My cell was supposed to house 16 people, 1 toilet, 1 bedroom, but we were 94 people using 1 toilet and 1 bedroom. And after 8 months there, I still came out and continued with my business. And I left the oil and gas business I was doing then and learned the ropes, because I was learning for where I could succeed without risk. And one of the least risk-free industries in the world is real estate. I have a quote that says, real estate is an industry that has 3 risks and 1 liability. 3 risks is location, documentation, and personnel. And the 1 liability is impatient. So I started in real estate as an apprenticeship. Imagine having succeeded so much that I had so many people working for me. I was the 2nd largest diesel distributor in Imo State in 2012, 2013. But by 2018, I was an apprentice in a real estate company, starting with nothing and not earning any salary, because I asked them not to pay me salary so that my earning will not impair my learning. I wanted to learn so much until I could earn for myself. And from 2018, this is 2025, I went from 0 to over nearly $100 million in real estate assets. And all that I needed to do was starting over each time I failed. And I failed the ultimate failure that even shocked me, because when I started real estate, the company I had done apprenticeship for, I failed woefully with that company when the company shortchanged me for what we had agreed, and I lost a lot of money and was in debt. Yet that did not stop me until I not only made it and succeeded, but we are building one of the greenest, smartest, sustainable smart city in Africa. And that experience is why I'm here today talking to you about starting over. So if my story already inspires me and I'm not through with the story, imagine what it will be when my story is told after now. I tell you, the value of your life is in your story. If your story makes people feel stronger, more inspired, and willing to succeed, then you had a valuable life. If your story makes people discouraged, makes people hiss, make people feel pity, and make people feel downcast or drains people, then your life was a waste. So instead of wasting your life, after all, you failed. And whether you succeed, you fail. Whether you don't succeed, you fail. Why not turn your failure into an inspiring story, like the likes of Nelson Mandela of South Africa, that failed so much that he spent 27 years in prison trying to liberate his people. And when all hope was lost, he came out and not only ended apartheid, but became the first Black president and wrote the book, The Long Walk to Freedom. So it's not how long it takes you to get to freedom, it's how much freedom you get. And the longer it takes to get to freedom, the more inspiring your story. And one of the greatest people that has failed and turned it around is Thomas Edison. And he has a quote for us that says, "Success is 99% perspiration and 1% inspiration." And I dare rephrase that to say, success is 99% starting over and 1% never failing. So 99% failure and starting over, and 1% accuracy of not failing. So if you ever not fail, you have lost 99% of the value of success. Starting over gives us that 99%. And the more you start over, the more of the 99% you have. So they that have never failed have failed to have the right to advise anyone. So one of the greatest compliments you can get as a human being is when another human being does what you say. And that's why a lot of people fight for power, fight for authority. But the greatest power and authority is when you're an example that you can advise others and they'll do it because you have failed enough that you can talk to anybody about failure. And that's why some people come to advise me, to correct me and all that. And I tell them, don't correct me with words. Correct me with your story and your results. So don't just come and tell me, do this and do that. Have you done this and done that? And were you successful? So for you to be unstoppable, become an expert of failure, not a failed expert failure. When you're an expert that failed and failed to continue and failed to turn your failure around, you are a failed expert failure, no matter how educated and no matter how qualified you are. But when you are failed so many times that you have become an expert of failure like Thomas Edison, you can now become unstoppable because you've learned so much from your failure, and learning is the bridge that connects our failure to our success. So instead of groaning of your mistakes and failure, start now to start growing from your mistakes and failure, and go and start failing up now, because failing is not a problem. There's a book by John Maxwell called Failing Forward, which is the formula for success. Failures fail downwards, why successful people fail forward or fail up. So I'm going to start failing up, and it's not going to be easy, but hold on no matter how long it takes, because I found out that God's 11th hour feels like man's 25th hour. So when you think it's all over, it's still not over, because God has a greater plan. And I see adversity as the test of a man's size, because there's a quotation that says that a man is equal to the amount or size of adversity that comes to him. So when big adversities come to me, I get flattered and I look up to God and say, is that how big you think I am for you to flatter me with such a big problem, such a big adversity? I thought I was a size 10, but I'm seeing a problem of a size 1000. Does it really mean I am 1000? Instead of getting intimidated by the size 1000 problem, I get excited that God knows that I have the capacity to solve the 1000 problem. And that's why he has sent it to me. So I'll grow up, swallow that problem, and look up to him and tell him, thank you for the problems you give. So starting over is a blessing and an opportunity for us to not only try again more intelligently, but is a blessing and opportunity for us to grow up. And if you grow up, you get to the top, and I'll see you at the top. Thank you. And in closing, I want to say that many of us are too adult to succeed, too unflexible to succeed, too fixated to succeed, too taking ourselves too seriously to succeed. We are too grim, too fixated, and too hard on ourselves to succeed. Success is a failure process of failing and learning from our failure until we stop failing and will be successful. And children teach us that in how they learn to walk. Children teach us that in how they learn to stand. Children teach us that in how they learn to speak. But the tragedy is not that children are teaching it and we are not seeing it. The tragedy is that each and every one of us was once a child that could not even learn how to pronounce the simple word daddy, and was calling daddy dada, and was calling mommy mommy, and was calling food calling rice lies, and all kinds of funny things. And we laughed at it when we were kids. Our parents laughed at it, and we learned from it and improved as proof that the only way to get good at anything is to do it badly initially until we can now do it so well that we can never do it badly. But when we grew up as adults, we're taught that mistakes are bad. We're taught that doing it badly is bad. We're taught that nature does not give us chance to do it badly before we do it well. And we just not only got convinced by those people, but we became our greatest club that we have used to flog ourselves each time we get it wrong. Instead of encouraging ourselves that we're going to get it right again, we beat down ourselves and say we are not good enough. And we not only feel guilty, but we create a thick wall with bars of iron to lock ourselves in a self-imposed prison of guilt and bitterness for trying just once. Thomas Edison tried 10,000 times. He does not have two hearts. He has a heart and a brain. He does not have oil flowing through his veins. He had blood like you and I. And he didn't start with a privileged background. He was so destitute that even in school, they said he had a learning disability and sent him home and told his mother that this child cannot attend school because he's too dumb to attend school. And the mother, instead of telling him, my son, you are too dumb to attend school, she, unlike you tell yourself that you are not good enough, she told her son, you are so good that they sent you back from school because you're a genius, and the teacher said he's not good enough to teach you, that I should teach you from home. And the mother taught him and told him that you can do anything you put your mind to because you're a genius. He was learning disabled, but his mother told him he was learning super learning abled, and he believed it and began to live it and refused for anything in the world to convince him otherwise. He failed one time. The failure could not convince him. He failed 1,000 times. It could not convince him. He failed 10,000 times. It could not convince him that he's not worthy of the world. But how come you, with this kind of example, with this kind of story, we still convince yourself that you are not good enough after you have tried just once or just twice or just 3 times? One mistake you made in 1960, you are still holding on to it and killing yourself and letting your life go away. Instead of you to take it as a stepping stone, you have taken it as a tombstone to bury yourself in the tomb of regret and guilt. Starting over is not more of a technical thing or a knowledge thing, for we all know that if we start over more intelligently, we'll make it. Starting over is more an emotional thing, and we are all killing ourselves, guilting ourselves away, regretting ourselves away, and punishing ourselves with the tombstone of a mistake that we made ages ago, not knowing that that same tombstone can be a stepping stone for you to rise to the top. Stop fooling yourself that anybody will come in that cave and save you. Push that tombstone down, step on it, and use it as a stepping stone to get to the top. And nothing on earth can convince me that I'm not good enough. If anything can convince you that you are not good enough, then you are not good enough. But if nothing can convince you, step on that stone and I'll see you at the top. And to see other videos that will help you with the motivation, direction, and knowledge you need, turn your failures to stepping stones to massive success. Click on the video above and I'm gonna see you at the other side. It is super duper amazing that you found my content valuable enough for you to watch till the end. Only 5% of exceptional people do that. You're exceptional and I deeply love and appreciate you. Don't just watch to learn, watch to take action. And the first action is subscribe and hit the notification button so you don't miss any of our daily value action. Remember, only doers are winners.